This is number 49 from chapter 14 of McMurry's 6th edition chemistry book. We're asked to label acids and bases and their conjugate acid and bases from these 4 different reactions. I've highlighted some key points that you should remember about these. Acids give up H+, bases accept H+. Acids form conjugate bases, and vice versa, bases form conjugate acids. So let's jump right into this. First, when you look at these 2 chemicals, you want to see what's going on. We compare the first and the second, before and after. H2O here and OH-. It looks like H2O is giving up an H+. If something gives up an H+, we call that an acid. Acids always form conjugate bases, so H2O forms OH-, that's going to be the conjugate base. Keep in mind, we always label acids and bases on the left side of the equation. The conjugate acids and conjugate bases will always be on the right side of a reaction, always. All right, acids react with bases, so this therefore must be a base. All right, and keep in mind that bases form conjugate acids. So over here, HCN is the conjugate acid. All right, let's look at this next equation. First, let's try to identify what's the acid. Here we have H2O. All right, is it giving up an H+? No, it looks like it has 1 extra. How about this first one? H2PO4 negative. It looks like, yes, it's giving up an H. All right, it's giving up an H as it goes from the starting material to the product. So this can be labeled as acid. Without thinking further, we know that acids react with bases, so water must be the base. All right, acids become conjugate bases. So this squiggly underlined monohydrogen phosphate ion must be the conjugate base. All right, bases become conjugate acids, so this guy here must be the conjugate acid. All right, let's look at C here. We've got all these hydrogens here. What's going on? Well, remember again, we compare before and after. Look at H2O. Look at OH-. Yes, H2O is losing a hydrogen. Acids lose hydrogen, so we need to write acid below this, and without thinking further, we can just say this must therefore be the base. All right, over here on the right side of the equation, the acids become conjugate bases, so we can label this as becoming the conjugate base. All right, what about over here? The base becomes the conjugate acid. All right, so we can label this as the conjugate acid. Pause the video and work this out on your own and see if you come up with the same thing I have. Again, we're going to try to identify the acid. What is losing a hydrogen? It looks like NH4 is changing to NH3, so it's losing the hydrogen. So I would label this as an acid. Okay. This would therefore be the base because it's accepting the hydrogen ion. The acid becomes the conjugate base. So over here, I have conjugate base. And the base becomes the conjugate acid. Okay. Instructors purposefully like to mix things up randomly, so you have to figure out what's what. I hope this helps you label acids and bases and conjugate acid, conjugate bases in your acid-base equilibrium reactions. Thanks for watching.